all night. It was good fun.
Can we keep you awake between now and 8 o'clock? What's your first piece of music tonight?
It's a Lizzy song, Wild One. It's the plug.
Not just from our studio guest, but it is actually his own as well. Thin Lizzy's Wild Ones. In the studio tonight on Guest Week, Mr. Philip Linnett. Phil, starting off now, this is real base level stuff. We're starting off with going back in time. I remember now when I was in a college in Dublin, just outside Dublin, Clontarf, and there was a three-piece band which was Eric Bell, Brian Downey, and yourself, and you were still bopping around on school stages really at that stage.
Yeah.
What was it like then?
I got a cough.
Yeah,
it was good. It was really good crack. We used to go out and gig everywhere because we were all in flats. Well, two of us were in flats, so we really had to go out and get gigs anywhere and everywhere. So we did everything. It used to be great fun.
How serious did you take it at the time? Because I used to get the impression that you were sort of a pent-up poet who was having a go at playing music.
No, at first it was definitely
across.
the pose, you know.
Right.
It was just to be in a group for the pose, you know, like just as. At the time you used to hang around Grafton Street, you know, to be in a group was hot stuff, you know. So at first that's what it was, you know. And when I got thrown out of Skid Row, when I nearly got thrown out of Skid Row, well, I did actually.
Yeah, because if Brush Shields was here now, that would be one of his great claims to fame. Brush would say that, you know, I once threw out Philip Linnett out of the band because he couldn't sing.
Yeah, I was too busy posing all the time.
Did you work with Brush before the Lizzy idea got together?
Yeah, because Brush told me about 3 months before he sacked me. Brush always lets you know when he's going to sack me, you know. And he said I should take up the bass, and I did. I fancied the bass, so he was giving me lessons and stuff.
And after that?
After that, I took off on my own.
And was the idea that you were going to try and get something together that was going to end up the way it has ended up today, like it's a sort of a mega group? Did you have that kind of typical adolescent dream?
You know, obviously I thought about it, you know. But when I did it, as we were doing it, I just took it a step at a time. I just wanted, you know, the first thing was just to get the band together. Then it was like to get some gigs. Then it was to get a record deal. Then it was, you know, and there was always hustling and ducking and diving, you know, going on all the time.
Eric eventually left the band.
Yeah.
Amid lots of rumours.
Because he couldn't take that type of stuff, you know. Like, when Whiskey in the Jar took off, Eric was like a real musician, a real purist musician. He liked to play all the time and nothing else. So it really started to affect him, like having to dress up for photographs or to fly to France, you know, just to mime to a record, you know, which was all promotional stuff, and there's an awful lot of crap that goes on. And Eric just couldn't handle it, and in the end he just said, no, that's it. So yeah.
And how did you deal with that? Because Lizzy's gone through a few changes, as have most bands that have survived from the 60s, 70s up into today. How do you cope with those kind of things when somebody just, was he, you know, sort of, go, Eric, you can't take this anymore, or did he just say, I can't
No,
take
actually
it
it was great. It was New Year's Eve in Belfast. We were playing in Queen's University, and he couldn't get the right feedback out the gear. So we were all, we'd had a few drinks, and Eric couldn't get the feedback, so he took out the guitar and smashed it, and smashed up all the gear and walked off. And me and Brian were left on the stage, you know, just the bass and drums. So I said to Brian, keep playing, because I want to get paid for this gig. So we finished out with Land of 1,000 Dances, or any old sing song. But you know, everybody thought, like this was part of the act. But that was when Eric left.
Because I remember, I thought that he'd been thrown out at the time because he used to keep his head down when he was playing. He didn't flash around.
Oh, no, he left.
Okay, right, a little more music now. This is something slightly... Actually, the lineup of music tonight, folks, if you're sitting in front of a mirror getting ready to get out, is kind of different from what you might expect this man might bring along, and there's a reason for that. Maybe you'd like to tell us about that before we play this next one.
Oh, yeah, a lot of the stuff is fairly light that I'm going to play, because I'm working on the Thin Lizzy album, which is, like, really heavy, so I'm too busy You know, I'm listening to the light sounds now just to ease my head a little. This is John and Mary, Robert Palmer, hot stuff.
Mary's second choice tonight from our studio guest here in Guest Suite, Philip Linnett. Right, we might as well, since we're still in the historical vein, we'll take Thin Lizzy from the point where Eric left and everybody was wondering what was going to happen then. Was the band going to be able to sort of get another chart success together? I think it was Randolph's Tango that came out after Whiskey in the Jar.
Yeah, we didn't have a hit for 3 years after Whiskey in the Jar. And then the boys are back in town. Just smashed up all over the place, you know, so we did well then.
Gary came in to fill, Gary Moore came
yeah,
in
but that was
to
temporary.
Fill in for
that was temporary at the time, yeah.
And he came back. Basically, he's been in the band twice, really, and it's been temporary, really, basically, both.
No, the second time he was a member of the band, you know. He was definitely in there.
And what happened?
We didn't get on. I don't get on with him.
Do you think it's totally essential that you have to get on with somebody to work with them?
Yeah.
Because there are bands, definitely, that are still in existence, I think, some of the larger groups.
I'm not for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like that, as if money is the priority number one.
You know what I mean? I mean, me and Gerry worked together well for short periods of a time, you know? But in general, at the moment, we're not getting on.
Because you worked on a solo album with him as well, Back in the Streets, didn't you?
Yeah.
So there must have been a friendly basis at that time.
Yeah, we were mates, you know. We were mates at one time, and we fell out.
Do you think that kind of thing affects the band badly when
I don't care.
when you're getting torn apart like that, though? Because I almost find I find that very difficult to take when you've just focused your attention on a band and,
yeah, but that's
and you've got
just
this
the
idea
press,
together.
like, I mean, if you believe all the crap you read, you know, like, it's silly.
But there was a lot of stuff at the time. Remember, a lot of the, just as you said, a lot of the press and a lot of the TV and radio had huge monster sort of splashes about fights between yourself and Gerry and everything.
We never came to blows. We never came to blows. It was all verbal.
Do you think that the public expect too much from bands like Thin Lizzy? Expect them to remain the way they want to be?
I don't care to. You know, like, there's two schools of thought.
Mm-hmm.
One is that a group should have a responsibility to its public, and two is that the group has no responsibility to its public. Like the Beatles were very, you know, aware of the mums and dads, and the Rolling Stones were very anti, you know. I happen to have adopted the thing of I don't think I have a responsibility to anybody but myself, first and foremost.
But you definitely, even in concerts and in interviews, well, it depends, I suppose, on what kind of frame of mind you're in at the time. You give the impression that you feel very, this man is maybe not going to last between now and 8, that you definitely feel that you have a responsibility towards the fans, in brackets. I mean, it seems like that during concerts and during some interviews I've read in the papers.
Oh yeah, that's when I'm working for the band, yeah, that's, you know, but I'm talking about the actual art of making music, mate. when I'm actually writing the songs, you know, the first responsibility, where it has to come from, is from myself, you know. Then I start to think of how to sell it, and try and give value, and try and give integrity with what you're doing, you know. Sounds too grandiose, though.
No, but do you think, though, in reality, that you can separate the two? I mean, with the level that a band like Thin Lizzy's got to, because it is a huge commercial end.
Well, you have to compromise either way. I mean, like, with the Adventures of Thin Lizzy album, I wanted to give away a free live album.
Yeah.
I mean, it's coming out as a single with 4 tracks, and it's selling cheap. But I wanted to give away 8 tracks.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do it. So we had to come to this compromise that this cheap single comes out, you know. But I still think it's a rip-off by the record company, you know. But there's nothing you can do about it. You have to compromise. You have to learn how to roll with the blows. And then the more power you get, then the more control you get, you see, so...
Okay. Rightio, let's have another piece of music. This is going to be something totally different, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, from Robert Palmer or from Tin Lizzy.
Yeah, this song is Paul Brady singing Arthur McBride. And when we were on the road last year in America, we had to play it every day. It was a daily dose of good music.
And my cousin one Arthur McBride, as we went walking down by the seaside. Now mark what followed and what did betide, for it being on Christmas morning. Out for recreation we went on a tramp, and we met Sergeant Napper and Corporal Vamp, and a little wee drummer intending to camp, for the day being pleasant and charming. Good morning, the sergeant did cry, and the same to you gentlemen we did reply, intending no harm but meant to pass by, for it being on Christmas morning. But says he, my fine fellows, if you will enlist, it's 10 guineas in gold I will slip in your fist, and a crown in the bargain for to kick up the dust and drink the king's health in the morning. For a soldier he leads a very fine life, and he always is blessed with a charming young wife, and he pays all his debts without sorrow or strife, and always lives pleasant and charming. And a soldier he always is decent and clean, in the finest of clothing he's constantly seen, while other poor fellows go dirty and mean, and sup on thin gruel in the morning. But says Arthur, I wouldn't be proud of your clothes, for you've only the lend of them, as I suppose, and you dare not change them one night, for you know if you do, you'll be flogged in the morning. And although that we are single and free, we take great delight in our own company, and we have no desire strange faces to see, although that your offers are charming. And we have no desire to take your advance, all hazards and dangers we bar to run chance, for you would have no scruples for to send us to France, where we would get shot without warning. Oh, now says the sergeant, I'll have no such chat, and I neither will take it from spouting or brat, for if you insult me with one other word, I'll cut off your heads in the morning. And then Arthur and I, we soon drew our hearts, and we scarce gave them time for to draw their own blades, when a trusty shillelagh came over their heads and bade them take that as fair warning. And their own rusty rapiers that hung by their side, we flung them as far as we could in the tide. Now take them out, devils, cried Arthur MacBride, and temper the edge in the morning. And the little wee drummer, we flattened his pow, and we made a football of his rowdy-dow-dow. Threw it in the tide for to rock and to roll, and bade it a tedious returning. And we haven't no money, paid them off in cracks, and we paid no respect to the two bloody backs, while we lathered them there like a pair of wet sacks, and left them for dead in the morning. And so to conclude and to finish disputes, we obligingly asked if they wanted recruits, for we were the lads who would give them hard clothes and bid them look sharp in the morning. Oh, me and my cousin one Arthur MacBride, as we went a-walking down by the seaside. Now mark what followed and what did betide, for it being on Christmas morning.
Beautiful piece of music indeed. Now that should definitely put people in a nice calm frame of mind this evening. If you've just joined us, you're listening to Radio 2 and this is Guest Suite with Philip Linnett. Little book I showed you before we came in. I don't know whether you've still got a copy of it yourself at home or not. You said you've sold quite a few copies of it now. Songs for While I'm Away was a book of lyrics and poetry, really, I suppose, as well. It was back in 1974. How do you... He's shaking his head. What is it?
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, at that time, lyrics seemed to be very, very important, and Thin Lizzy hadn't taken off to the huge extent that it did, say, two or three years later in 75 and 76. Did you feel, that you were going to have to sort of put a back seat to the things like the lyrics and stuff like that?
No, I just figured it was a good idea to bring out a book, and I keep doing them. Because someone might think I'm a great writer, offer me a lot of money, and I'll live happily ever after.
Is that a sort of a hidden ambition kind of a thing, to be respected as a writer as opposed to a
I'd like to
singer-songwriter?
succeed in any art of self-expression, I'd love to have total control over self-expression. It'd be great, wouldn't it? If you could write the perfect novel, or paint the perfect picture, write the perfect tune.
Would you ever attempt to do something like writing a novel?
Obviously, yeah. I try. Whether I do it or not is another thing.
Because a lot of those...
I've a garden fence that I must get around to fixing as well,
Millions of things to be done that never will. Because a lot of those songs that are in that book have a great narrative quality to them. There's lots of good stories that especially people in Dublin and Ireland can relate to quite well.
Yeah, I think one of the things that most good Irish songwriters are good at are with the storylines, like the undertones and the rats, the hits. Really, the lyrics are great, Van Morrison, Killer. The lyrics, I think there's a really high standard of lyrics in Ireland.
And around that same time too, as soon as Lizzy began to take over, and when you got the format of Scott and Brian Robertson were brought in as well, and I remember going along to the stadium, and it was about 2/3 full at the time. This is when it was virgin territory for the new form of Thin Lizzy.
There was never any doubt about that band.
No?
We knew we were hot. We knew we were going to make it. There was never any doubt about Thin Lizzy not making it once Brian Robertson and Scott Gorham were there.
Because I got the impression that you definitely sat down and got a formula together, bringing in the two.
No,
bands.
not a formula. Just knew exactly what I wanted. Wanted two lead guitarists, and knew how contrasting they should be. And we got it right with Brian Robertson and Scott Gorham.
How long did it take to get that version of Lizzy together?
Took about 6 months.
And to get back to what I was saying earlier on, because I'm not going to leave this until I ask you this. Did the idea of getting Lizzy to take off as a huge sort of commercial enterprise?
No, there was never any master plan for us to take over the world.
No, not take over the world, but did that take over the songwriting aspect of it, the things like the Shades of a Blue Orphanage kind of mentality?
No. Shades of a Blue Orphanage is a real strange album, because we were on a real bender. You know, so it's a real funny album.
Tell us about it.
It's just a real funny album.
In what kind of way, though?
Halfway through it, we were told that we had to finish it. So it's just a bad sound. But I like parts of it.
So you definitely don't think that at the time that you had to sort of leave the art, as you put it yourself earlier on, give it sort of sit back a while.
No, because I can remember
together.
A fella called Dick Rowe.
Yeah.
He signed the Stones, right? And he came into us, and we were rehearsing one day, and he called me over and he said, Philip, why don't you have a hit first and then do the type of stuff that you want to do? We were really trying to write a hit record. I mean, like Whiskey in the Jar was a fluke. I mean, we were doing that. We had